The lesser achievement is martial skill. The higher achievement is personal transcendence. Tai Chi training is rich in solo practices that are designed to strengthen and train your body whilst developing higher levels of emotional and psychological well-being. Let's examine some of the key characteristics of the solo methods and identify the benefits as well as important points to pay attention to in training. First in the heart and mind, then in the body. Mindfulness can be described as an open, engaged, and non-judgmental awareness of the ever-changing present moment experience, both internal experiences of thoughts and feelings, as well as external sensations. Achieving an emotionally and psychologically still state is one of the objectives of Tai Chi practice, even in moments of intense stress such as combat or self-defense. An important mechanism of mindfulness is the anchoring of attention to interoceptive signals like breathing or body sensations, such as those experienced in the various forms of Tai Chi and Neigong. Research has shown mindfulness activates the parasympathetic nervous system, which opposes the stress response triggered by an excited amygdala in the brain. This opposes and counters the effects of an overstimulated sympathetic nervous system, which is activated by perceived stressors. An unchecked overstimulated sympathetic nervous system will trigger a cascade of events, which leads to increases in blood pressure and blood sugar levels and suppression of the immune system. Chronic sympathetic activation leads to muscle tension, headache, fast heart rate, high blood pressure, and shallow breathing, along with anxiety disorders. The mindful movement practice of Tai Chi forms, and especially Tai Chi Neigong, which includes 4 different meditation styles, including breathing techniques, have been proven in research to be effective in countering the stress response. Gene expression also changes after the practice of mind-body training, such as Tai Chi and Neigong, with their inherent mindfulness, relaxation responses, and breath regulation. Research suggests that such practices may result in a reduction of inflammation-related diseases. Neuroimaging studies suggest that mindfulness meditation can cause neuroplastic changes in the structure and function of brain regions that regulate 3 main components of enhanced self-regulation. These 3 components are attention control, emotion regulation, and self-awareness. MRI data suggests that mindfulness meditation can lead to greater brain cortex thickness and enhanced white matter integrity in the anterior cingulate cortex, which is the region in the brain associated with attention control. A cross-sectional study on meditators also showed a diminished age-related decline in attention performance, as well as a decreased age-related decline of grey matter volume in the brain. Research shows muscle spindle sensitivity to movement may be enhanced in fully relaxed people during mental computational tasks. Tai Chi training is designed to make you become expert in relaxation whilst in motion. Also, focusing attention when completely relaxed on a proprioceptive movement task, for example when blindfolded, leads to changes in the sensitivity of the muscle spindles to movement, so that accuracy and sensitivity is increased. It's also been shown that after many hours of mindful practices, practitioners develop a kind of learned mindfulness where they become more mindful of the world around them, even when not meditating. In studies, experienced mindfulness practitioners show quicker reaction times on attention tasks, a higher degree of attentional processing efficiency, and lower error rates on attention tasks, even when not actively meditating. According to research, mindfulness practitioners also show enhanced sensory perception. Also, the more you practice mindfulness, the capacity to attend to the present moment becomes improved and requires less effort. Evidence also points towards the capacity of mindfulness practitioners to experience negative emotions without adding further negativity brought on by past experience or worry about the future, an ability which is very useful for psychological health. Mindful practices are also shown to reduce distress and improve mood states, reducing rumination and distraction, reducing relapse of depressive illness by reducing the tendency to get stuck in a ruminative cognitive cycle. This is because mindfulness meditation seeks to cultivate non-judgmental, moment-to-moment awareness to inner and outer stimuli, aiding the ability to redirect attention to the present moment rather than thinking about the past or the future. Reductions in rumination and distraction are unique to mindfulness meditation and not simply a result of relaxation responses. Self-compassion is described as the desire to alleviate one's suffering and heal oneself with kindness. Studies show that people who practice more frequently demonstrate higher levels of mindfulness, self-compassion, and happiness. The water is still, but the spring is clear. Your mind seems dead, but your spirit is alive. Research shows the powerful psychological effects of posture in humans. When adopting an expansive and erect posture, people tend to project power and authority to themselves and to others around them, while a constricted, slouched posture has the opposite effect. Tai Chi forms and Neigong practice begins by correcting and optimizing posture and alignment. Through the dozens of repetitions of movements in Neigong, as well as the posture-based stillness practices, optimal posture and movement quality is hardwired into the nervous system. This hardwiring is then implemented into the long, flowing, and ever-changing sequence of the hand forms and the weapons forms. Research has shown that emotions and thoughts affect posture as well as energy levels. A study showed that 2 minutes of standing in a collapsed or slouched posture resulted in endocrine changes in the blood, specifically significantly decreased testosterone and increased cortisol, also known as the stress hormone. On the other hand, standing in an expansive, erect, power posture increased testosterone and decreased cortisol. Tai Chi Neigong features 7 standing stillness practices, which can be held for as long as 15 minutes each for advanced practitioners, from which we can expect powerful changes in the aforementioned hormones. The movements of the Tai Chi forms and the forms within the Neigong practice also feature very large, dominant body postures, leading to similar effects. Research also shows when a person stands in an erect posture, other people instinctively respond in a positive way, so that improvements in your posture and movement can lead to improved social experiences. Research has shown that a slouched, downwards-looking posture, the opposite of a Tai Chi posture, makes you feel more powerless and hopeless. It's also been shown that over time, memories become embedded inside our body posture, which can covertly evoke associated memories and emotions, as well as shifts in our energy level. It was shown that when a person shifts from a collapsed posture to an erect posture, or from walking while slouched to walking lightly with head held high, the feeling of subjective energy may increase significantly. The very first postural tenet a Tai Chi student learns is to hold the head as if suspended by a string from above. It's been suggested that just 2 minutes of postural change begins to bring about changes in one's hormones, strength, and mood. In another study, it was found that a slump posture induced the negative emotions of fear, hostility, and nervousness when compared to an upright posture. Research shows that it is the motor qualities of any movement rather than specific motions that can bring about certain emotions. Feeling angry was predicted by advancing forward with a strong, sudden, and direct effort, especially using punching motions. Also, the specific motions of leaning forward, strong, fast movements, and forward bending of the head are expressions of anger. Feeling afraid was predicted by enclosing and condensing the body, as well as retreating backwards and leaning back, all clear responses to danger in animals. Feeling fear was also predicted by extreme tension in the muscles, called bound flow, a motor quality where the muscles contract to bring about freezing, seen in animals faced with danger. These motor characteristics are seen in increased activation of the sympathetic nervous system. Feeling happy is predicted by rhythmic movement and jumping. Other qualities are lightness and free flow. All are qualities inherent in Tai Chi solo practice. Light, agile, and free movement, as developed in correct Tai Chi practice, requires minimal tension. When the sympathetic nervous system is activated, as in situations perceived as fight or flight, there is increased co-contraction of muscles, which is like putting the brakes onto our movements. Light and free motions counter this quality, and the muscle proprioceptors may signal to the brain that no stressful situation is present, thereby inducing the feeling of happiness. The movement quality advocated in all original Tai Chi literature is lightness, agility, and spontaneity, a perfect antidote to the negative, stress-bound quality which can develop during times of stress. Other motor qualities predicting feelings of happiness were enlarging the shape of the body in a horizontal as well as the vertical dimension, possibly because such changes produce feelings of power and dominance, creating feelings of security and so happiness. Feeling sad was predicted by movements done with the head down, arms hugging the torso, sinking and passive weight with a limp body, communicating submission. The posture eliciting sadness was a contracted, shrunken one with drooped shoulders. These findings are useful because they can be applied by anyone wishing to regulate one's personal emotions through posture control. Anyone can choose to incorporate in his or her daily movements even some of those motor characteristics that enhance happiness, especially those that feel natural and comfortable. Regular Tai Chi solo practice, morning and evening, can make a huge difference in enhancing and making habitual these positive posture and movement qualities. Additionally, people can decide to reduce their daily habitual motions that are shown to induce negative emotions. Shows relaxation techniques such as Tai Chi, Neigong, and Neigong breathing techniques are positively correlated to sports performance, chiefly by reducing stress and anxiety. Relaxation leads to the reduction of oxygen metabolism, respiration, muscle tension, and negative thoughts. There are two categories of anxiety: the cognitive anxiety, which takes the form of negative self-talk and expectation, and the somatic form of anxiety, which is the physiological and results in feelings of nervousness, muscular tension, rapid heart rate, sweaty palms, and high blood pressure. Progressive muscle relaxation training, like Tai Chi or Neigong, can reduce the number of injuries in sport and allow athletes to perform at their maximum potential. This is because relaxation enhances coping with stress, calms the practitioner, and gives a feeling of confidence and greater internal control, allowing good, quick decisions and better physical execution. Other biological benefits of relaxation training for optimal sports performance have also been studied. Progressive muscle relaxation has been shown to result in improved lung function. It's also been shown to be an effective method of pain control. Biofeedback can have a real effect on heart rate and respiration function because the parasympathetic nervous system is brought under control, leading to a steady heart rate and smoother, quieter breathing with more overall oxygen uptake. This makes biofeedback a useful tool for treating asthma, even in older patients. In sports science, the importance of recovery and rest between periods of physical exercise is well known. Without adequate recovery, the maximal potential of an athlete cannot be reached, and overtraining or burnout can occur, leading to injuries and illnesses. Stressful and sedentary lifestyle of many people today has been shown to be a cause of incorrect breathing habits. Dysfunctional breathing habits are regarded as both the cause and also the result of dysfunctional physical and psychological states. Disordered breathing patterns have been linked to anxiety states and affect cognitive processes like decision making. However, the good news is that studies have shown that through proper regular training, bad breathing habits can be unlearned and replaced with good breathing. Tai Chi, with its training to develop long, smooth, and deep natural breathing, is an ideal tool with which to unlearn bad breathing habits. Tai Chi Neigong's first few exercises are specifically designed to develop deep and long breathing, allowing the Qi to sink to the dantian. The Tai Chi classics advise to let the abdomen become soft and relaxed, allowing the breath to sink low for the Qi to manifest into the bones. Tai Chi breathing during both Neigong and film practice is done through the nose. Breathing through the nose as opposed to the mouth aids in filtering, warming, and humidifying the inhaled air before reaching the lungs. Nose breathing is also credited with helping to maintain the elasticity of the lungs and proper function of the diaphragm, while allowing the tongue to stay in the ideal position, touching the front part of the roof of the mouth. Another benefit of nose breathing is that 10 to 20% more oxygen is taken up by the lungs as compared to mouth breathing. All of these actions will help both healthful well-being as well as sporting or martial performance. Tension during breathing, leading to strained breathing, results in reduced airflow and has negative effects on the immune and cardiovascular systems. A decreased regular breathing pattern results in a shift towards parasympathetic nervous activity and a positive emotional state. Furthermore, focused attention and enhanced decision-making are linked to smooth, balanced breathing. Additionally, diaphragmatic or abdominal breathing has been shown to massage the internal organs, which is beneficial, and also to result in more endorphins, the pain-killing and happiness chemicals being released by the brain into the blood circulation. The Tai Chi Neigong exercise, Jade Rabbit Facing the Moon, is specifically designed to condition this deep, slow, diaphragmatic breathing method, building upon the Golden Tortoise exercise, which strengthens the diaphragm. The following Neigong exercise is designed to then stretch the lungs themselves. Sinews. Strength comes from the bones. Looking at it purely physically, one who has great strength is able to carry many hundreds of pounds, but this is an externally showy action of bones and joints, a stiff strength. If, on the other hand, the power of your whole body is used, it may appear you are unable to lift hardly any weight at all, yet there is an internal robustness of essence and energy. Once you have achieved skill, you will seem to have something more wonderful than one who has a stiff sort of strength. The system is regarded as the three-dimensional continuum of soft, collagenous connective tissue that permeates the whole body as both loose and dense fibrous tissue. It penetrates and envelops bones, muscles, nervous tissue, and the visceral organs, enabling structural support as well as integrated functioning of all bodily systems. The concept of biotensegrity explains the human body as a structured, self-tensioned, continuous myofascial networks with the semi-rigid, non-linear, viscoelastic bones. These serve as floating, discontinuous compression struts, perfectly aligned and coordinated into an efficiently self-supporting neutral model that is functional on land, at sea, in air and in space, right way up or upside down. The visceral organs, as well as all the body systems, i.e. cardiovascular, nervous, fascial, etc., integrate structurally and even physiologically into this biotensegrity, while the spine functions as a tensegrity tower, connecting and integrating into all the parts. A change in tension anywhere in this tensegrity model is signaled to everywhere else by mechanical transduction, which is alluded to in the Tai Chi theory: if one part moves, all parts move. Research is pointing to the vital role of fascia in spinal stability, considering that the spine is made up of viscoelastic small vertebrae held together as multiple frictionless joints stacked on top of each other, onto which perches the head and onto which the forelimbs are integrated. Fascia have been shown to transmit substantial intermuscular and extramuscular forces with muscular contractions, besides transmitting to and from attachments. An intact fascial system can create intermuscular pressure or adjacent transverse loading forces that may even work against an individual muscle force's direction. These These complex force vectors may be beneficial for dynamic loading and stabilizing neighboring structures like the spine. Intra-abdominal pressure and muscular pressures in the spinopelvic region influence the tension of the thoracocolumbar fascia, a major fascial train that has an important role in spinal stability. The intricate connection within this biotensegrity was made more clear by the discovery that muscles transfer most of their contractile forces onto fascial sheets rather than the tendon attachments to the skeleton. Proprioceptive exercises like balancing on one foot while doing a task or balancing on a wobble board have been shown to reduce the risk of ankle sprains. In the posture training of Tai Chi, there are many similar proprioceptive exercises. Postures like Tai Chi's golden cockerel stands on one foot, or kick in a curve involve striking with a foot or knee and can be done slowly and with full balancing control. Every step taken within the form requires complete weight shifts with full control, even while performed very slowly. This has been likened in the Tai Chi classics to the deliberate stepping movement of a cat, hence the term walk like a cat. Therefore, the Tai Chi form is an excellent opportunity to train ankle strength, flexibility, and proprioception. A powerlifter may be able to lift 250 kilos, but spinal muscles alone can support only 50. This is explained by the coordinated utilization of the fascia. It's been shown that when the pelvis tilts so as to straighten the lumbar lordosis curvature, forces in the pelvis and back become borne mainly by the lumbar dorsal thoracocolumbar fascia rather than the erector muscles. In the upright posture and during walking, the power from the legs to the upper body is ideally transferred via the lumbar dorsal fascia so as to minimize stresses on the intervertebral joints of the spine. The lumbar dorsal or thoracocolumbar fascia have been described as the connecting system that joins the pelvis and lower back regions to the upper and lower limbs. These findings support the requirement in Tai Chi to keep the lowest vertebrae plumb erect via the pelvic tilt, so that the power from the feet and legs can flow upwards unimpeded as efficiently as possible along the myofascial trains. Movements like jumping, throwing, striking, and breaking depend not only on the contraction of muscles, but largely on the elastic recoil of the fascia supporting such ballistic movements. Another exciting discovery is that fine fascial connections ramify deep into the interior of cells down to the nucleus. Research shows that cells are biointegrity structures in their own right, with balanced forces exerted between compression-bearing microtubules and tension-bearing actomyosin filaments, with the tent peg being integrin receptors. These integrin receptors anchor the cells to the extracellular matrix, also sensing physical forces outside the cells, transmitting this information through the connections throughout the cell organelles, including the nucleus, inducing specific biochemical reactions in the process. The cellular effect of therapeutic methods like manual therapy, acupuncture, and Neigong and Qigong-like stretching have been well documented. The term mechanotransduction has been coined to describe the different ways in which cells respond to different degrees of load, such as pressure, stretch, tension, etc. A review studied the evidence on the anatomical basis for the concept of meridians in traditional Chinese medicine, and supported the view that the fascial system of the human body may be the physical framework represented by the meridians and acupoints of the Taoist evolved system upon which many Tai Chi movements appear to be organized around, particularly in Tai Chi Neigong training. Body imaging data shows that the anatomy of the fascial network is consistent with the traditional meridian pattern. Breathing in deeply with the abdomen and muscular pressures in the spinal pelvic regions, as in the Tai Chi style pelvic tilt where the lumbar curvature is straightened, creates intra-abdominal pressures that increase the tension of the thoracolumbar fascia. This is a key contributor to spinal stability and force transmission from the lower body to the upper extremities, or vice versa, as in absorbing external forces. Such a complex mechanism is likely to be key for Tai Chi concepts like pain. Here, specific alignments such as rounding the back at the scapular region, straightening of the cervical and lumbar curvatures, and internal adjustments of the elbows, fingers, knees, and many other areas of the body lead to a unified and powerful structure. This has minimal muscular tension, but physically able to withstand considerable force that can be dissipated vertically downwards towards the ground. All Tai Chi postures should have this pain quality. It is most efficiently trained in Tai Chi Neigong, also known as iron shirt, because of the powerful physical structures it creates via integrated fascial and muscular conditioning. Other studies highlight the presence of the well-innovative fascial network that envelop and connect all parts of the body into an integrated whole. It has been shown that stretching one limb increases the range of motion of the other limb. Also, stretching of the lower limbs increases the range of motion of the upper limbs, and vice versa. When one is slumped, i.e. with a curved back, knee extension range is reduced. It's also been suggested that the highly innervated fascial system triggers the increased strain of the stretch as pain, thus limiting the maximal range of motion. Other evidence for non-local exercise effects involving myofascial chains includes the isometric stretching of calf and hamstring muscles that leads to increased neck flexibility, and foot self-massage that increases hamstring stretching capacity. The training aims to unify the whole body into one integrated whole, with the lower body taking precedence over the upper body, and the lowered stances serving to strengthen and stretch the legs, feet, and ankles considerably. The Tai Chi teacher and author Cheng-Men Ching has been reported as telling students that the posture, known as snake creeps down, is all the stretching exercises one needs. Recent studies support this view by suggesting that stretching of the pelvis and lower limbs has non-local effects on flexibility in the upper body also. It is widely held that a well-balanced myofascial system results in an optimally balanced biotensegrity. It leads to spontaneous corrections of minor malalignments of bones and joints, as can be confirmed by advanced internal martial arts practitioners who experience cracking, releasing of tight spinal, hip and other joints during posture training. Power training in Tai Chi is always developed from the legs and feet and transferred and augmented up the pelvis and back to be discharged through the striking surfaces like the fist, palm, forearm, elbow and even the shoulder and head. The tongue position in Tai Chi practice is quite specific. Students are instructed to keep the tongue in contact with the roof of the mouth during training. The reason given for this instruction has been to increase salivary flow, which is beneficial for health, and to allow the flow of qi to flow unimpeded downwards to the jiangqian, and for the practical reason so as to prevent one from biting the tongue during a fight. In one study, knee flexion peak torque increased by 30% when the tip of the tongue of the study subjects touched the anterior part of the hard palate as opposed to a lower position. This may suggest that physical and martial performance may be significantly enhanced by this tongue position. In more esoteric Tai Chi circles, this position is said to enhance the circulation of the microcosmic orbit, the two fundamental flows of human energy via the two primary acupuncture channels. In the postures of Tai Chi, Xingyi and Bagua, the knees are always bent to varying degrees. The degree of the depth of the stance depends on the fitness level of the practitioner and the degree of the training intensity aimed for. The stances are all varying modifications of the squatting position and can be described as isometric training in static postures with variable degrees of concentric and eccentric muscular activity in the slow-moving postures kept at a constant depth. A recent study showed that 3 stable Tai Chi postures increased the range of motions of the knees more than walking or jogging and produced a beneficial level of stress on the joints of the knee. The isometric semi-squat training, such as that of Neigong, was found to increase the stiffness of human tendons, muscle strength and size of leg muscles. These lead to improvements of physical performance during rapid movements. Studies suggest that performing isometric squats at 150-degree knee angles may result in better peak force and force rate development than with knee angles of 120 degrees or even 90 degrees. This would indicate that postures done at medium depth are more beneficial than deeper stances in terms of force production. Another study suggested that human tendons showed the most changes with longer duration isometric training rather than short duration but high force exercises. Traditional Tai Chi Neigong postures are held for up to 15 minutes at a time, providing powerful stimulation.
That our kisses have outworn.
Implicate that the extended periods of lowered stance postures done in static standing or slow form training of the internal martial arts are conducive to beneficial adaptation of the lower limb tendons. However, practitioners need to be cautious in progressively deepening their squatting stances, since the stress forces on the knee increase exponentially, not linearly from higher to a lower squat position. Another study found that slow movement with low intensity resistance induces a much greater energy expenditure than high or low resistance exercises done at normal speed, and exhibits the same total excess post-exercise oxygen consumption for 3 hours after the exercise is finished. This would be in line with the view that even done very slowly, the forms of Tai Chi provide a significant exercise despite the leisurely pace of the movements.
With a burning violin.
Interestingly, isometric contraction methods such as Tai Chi Neigong have been shown in research to reduce inflammation and speed healing by improving fluid movement in fascia. The static postures in Neigong involve isometric activity of all the major muscles, including the leg muscles. The intense exercise of the leg muscles, as seen in static and dynamic posture training in Tai Chi, has also been called the second heart, since blood and lymph circulation from the lower limbs to the upper body is enhanced. Fascia is thinner in the arms than in the legs, and thicker in the posterior regions than at the front. This suggests that myofascial force transmission is largest posteriorly, i.e. along the back and through the legs. This is aligned to the Tai Chi teaching that power is generated from the feet and legs and transferred up the pelvis and back, and to be released in the hands. An interesting observation is that the increase of both lumbar and thoracic curvatures of the spine is linked to decrease in respiratory muscle strength and lung function. This suggests that the recommendation in Tai Chi to reduce the lumbar and cervical lordosis through postural control has salubrious effects as well as biomechanical advantages. Another mechanism of power generation that has been scientifically studied is the Serape effect, where the pelvis is moved in opposition with the chest to produce a rotational wind-up and stretch to be released as in a powerful snapback involving various myofascial linkages. In Tai Chi Neigong practice, this Serape effect is trained hundreds of times in a single session. Many more subtle coiling and spiraling movements are also trained in Tai Chi Neigong, using this store and release mechanism to generate more force. In the Tai Chi classics, this is referred to as storing power, like drawing a bow. The fascia changes much more slowly, but with much more long-lasting results than muscles. After consistent moderate training, the fascial bodysuit becomes more injury-resistant, elastic and sensitive. In ancient Tai Chi circles, it was well known that sinew strength can be developed and maintained into old age, as opposed to muscular size and strength. In fact, a widely held view amongst the old Tai Chi fighters that it is possible for skill, timing and sinew-based power to be retained by old masters who can defeat younger and faster attackers. Fascial remodeling is stimulated by gradual increases in strain on the fascial system, bigger than that experienced in normal daily activity, and which utilizes the elastic recoil of the fascia. There are several suggestions on such fascial training available in scientific literature. One is the practice of soft elastic bounces done at the maximum range of motion possible at that point in time. Such movements are a common feature of Tai Chi Neigong. Another fascial training is the preparatory counter movement, where a slight pre-tensioning in the opposite direction results in a more powerful, effortless movement when released. Also, movements that engage the longest possible myofascial chains through spiraling rotations are good exercise for the fascial stimulation. These mechanics are very predominant in Tai Chi Neigong and forms. The aforementioned coiling movements are spiraling in nature, involving practically the whole body from feet to hands. In stepping from one posture to the other, the weight is completely loaded from one foot to the other, which has the element of pre-tensioning in it, included waist rotations, which power the following movements. Traditionally, Tai Chi martial artists increase the resistance while doing the forms by holding heavy weapons such as the broadswords, spears, and straight swords in in addition to using hand weights. The principle of the postures were retained, but the resistance could be increased progressively. Furthermore, the depth of the stances could be increased gradually, increasing the work done. This type of training would be recognized as fascial training, where strain on the fascia is increased gradually.